If you've been on the internet the past few days, then you've probably heard of the InSight mission that just landed on Mars. Surprisingly enough, this mission might be worth following because it can help us understand where you, a mammal staring at your laptop, came from. Before InSight was able to land on Mars, there were months of preparation that took place. InSight started in Phase A, which is the pre-launch stage where it was put through numerous tests until it was fully developed and designed. Once it was created, InSight was launched from the Vandenberg Air Force Base on May 5, 2018. After a successful launch, InSight entered a 6-month cruising period where it traveled to Mars. Recently, this 6-month period came to a close and InSight approached Mars and prepared for the landing process. Finally, after months of waiting, InSight was finally ready to enter Mars's atmosphere and successfully land. Now, the lander is in the surface ops part of the mission, where it is preparing itself for the next Martian year of space activity. Now, let's look more into the actual mission. InSight has two main goals. One, to understand the formation and evolution on Mars and how this relates to other rocky planets, and two, to determine the level of tectonic activity on Mars and how much it's impacted by meteors. To accomplish these goals, InSight will retrieve information on how Mars is formed, and it will help us get a better understanding of the terrestrial planets and how they formed, and the level of geological activity that Mars still has. NASA is using this information to understand the interior of Mars, and by measuring the tectonics of Mars, we can see how often it is impacted. In order to look at the interior of Mars, the lander has three primary instruments that take a closer look. The first one is the SEIS, which measures the pulse of Mars. This measures vibrations caused by the internal activity of Mars to identify properties of the crust, mantle, and core. The second primary instrument is the HP3, which deals with temperature. This is a heat probe that takes the temperature of Mars to reveal how much heat is flowing. The third primary tool on InSight is the RISE, or the RISE, which tests Mars reflexes. This is a radio science instrument that measures the wobble of Mars's north pole as it orbits to provide clues on the size and composition of Mars's metallic core. Now you're probably wondering, how will this affect me? Why do I care that a metal box landed on another planet? Well, not only do geologists take this information to discover how the terrestrial planets form, NASA's astrobiology department is also involved in the mission. This mission addresses the fundamentals of creation of our solar system and how the inner solar system was formed. Knowing the formation of the planets shows how Mars might have been a planet with habitable environments, and this gives us information on how there might be other habitable environments out there. Ever look out into the sky and wonder who else is out there? There have been thousands of exoplanets discovered by the Kepler spacecraft, as seen in the graph, and InSight can help answer the question of their composition. There are millions of terrestrial planets out there that could have the same formation as Earth, and we can see how lucky we got to be on this planet.